Serving up a warm dish of the Triad's culinary fare, here's your weekly helping of food, news, and views. This is The Man Who Ate the Town.
Hey folks, and welcome to episode 200 of The Man Who Ate the Town podcast, number 200. This is for the week of May 24th through the 30th, 2021. My name is Tim Beeman.
And I'm Leah Metz.
And we are opening the recipe box. Boom. We are recording this episode of The Man Who Ate the Town in the Less Desirable Studio South, a.k.a. my house. We are practicing social distancing and using Zoom, sponsored by Bull's Tavern. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcatchers like Apple Podcast, Stitcher, or Spotify, or any others like that, we'd appreciate a like, a follow, and a rating. It would help us tremendously. And if you're listening to us on the Triad Podcast Network, welcome and thank you. This episode of The Man Who Ate the Town is brought to you by Washington Perk and Provision Company, located 301 West 4th Street. You'll find a little bit of everything over there at the Perk, a chip corner, a deli to get your sandwich on the go, fruits, veggies, meats, and dairy from local sources, Bingo Bango sodas, Wolfie's custard, a wall of beer and wine, and more. Washington Perk is better than a convenience store, not quite a grocery store. On Facebook, they're Washington Perk, and at Washington Perk _DTWS on Instagram. So Ray is off this week. He's on vacation. And speaking of being off, next Monday is Memorial Day, and we will not have a podcast episode on that day. So still almost everyone is still hiring. I'm not going to go on a rant again. I'm just saying if you want your restaurants to remain open, you should tell your friends that are saying they can't find a job that there is one available. There's actually tons of them available if they just go looking for it.
Well, so I have a question for you.
Yes.
I didn't hear your rant, but why do restaurant workers only get the minimal, isn't it $2 an hour?
It's $2.13.
Like
that's servers.
Why is there such that discrepancy? Like I get tips.
Yeah.
But so the sense is that the tips make up the difference between to get them to.
Yeah.
I don't why wouldn't you just pay somebody a better wage?
See, in Europe and other places, servers are paid a wage.
Yep.
They don't even care about the tips because they're making plenty enough money. And the tips are not even a thing. I mean, it happens, but and there's such a fight for positions because if you're a server in, say, Paris, because that's where I have the most experience abroad. If you're in Paris and you're a server, generally those are lifers. Those are the ones who are doing it as a career. And it's a respectable career. It's not looked down upon. It's not menial. It's not less of a person. They're not servants. They're servers, but not servants. And they are paid, I don't know what the U.S. equivalency is, but they're paid a good wage. And I said, can I leave a tip on it? He said, no worry for a tip. And because they're paid, and I don't understand why we can't just pay people here. I've never understood that. I don't know why, and I don't understand. Pay them.
Well, and are there other countries that have the same wage as us on servers?
I'm not sure.
Or I'm curious to know. Because as you see, whenever we're looking through the lists, all the folks looking for workers, but then also at the same extent, it's like, we've got to change the whole concept of wages.
Well,
the whole culture around wages and what that should and shouldn't be.
Well, I think Ray and I have talked about this, and I've talked with this about to a couple of friends. that this may be the catalyst that creates a shift in this.
Yeah.
Everybody, all the right-leaning folk want to blame unemployment, that people are making more money to stay at home than they are to work. And in some cases, that's true. But that's not the full extent of it. I think that's about a third of it. The other 1/3 is that people had the opportunity to get out of this thankless career that they were in. They had to deal with their own BS through all this. So why go now? Because, we're all American and we're all entitled and all grouchy when it comes to how we want our stuff. Why go back and put up with other people berating you all the time and wanting all this and not tipping you anything when you had the opportunity to get out and you did? Why go back to that? And the other third is what we were talking about is wages. I think if you paid a fair wage, and I'm not talking because the kitchen people make sometimes up to $16, $17 an hour, but those are the fancy places. But the servers, even at fancy places, are still only making $2.13. I say I would much rather do away with tipping and pay extra on my food.
Yeah.
To know that the server, regardless of whether she's having a bad day, regardless of whether the kitchen people mess up, because I would say half the servers, okay, maybe a third of the servers get shafted because of the food not being right. And they're the messenger, right? You're shooting the messenger.
Right.
1/3, another third of it is people are assholes and aren't going to tip regardless. I've had that discussion with a couple of people, and that it seems like a certain kind of person that does that, and then the other third of reason it doesn't is because they think that the people are making enough money, and that's a sad reality that they don't. Even if they were making $15 an hour, that's not enough to cover cost of living increases that we're still paying like it's 1940, and we're living in the 2020s. So the cost of living has gone way up, and it's just an unfair thing. And I love my restaurant people, and I try to tip over. We tip sometimes 30-35%. Sometimes, not all the time, but we understand. I understand. I think you do too. What they're going through, we see it all week. So I think this could be the catalyst, the straw, if you will, that broke the camel's back to put people in the conversation to do away with the 213 thing and actually pay people something.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that here you have the federal government paying this wage and saying, hey, here it is. But then yet still you expect people to leave that. And to your point, they'll have to go back to having 2 or 3 jobs in order to make ends meet. And then like last week in our own paper, in the Journal, they came out with the CEO compensation. And the gap, the huge wage gap that there is. And of course, I'm in ethics class right now, and we're talking about one of the things that we're talking about is called difference principle. And it's the principle of what is the difference between that top threshold, and you can relate this to money. There's all kinds of things you can relate it to, but the top threshold to whatever the lowest worker is, and how is that impacting that lowest worker. And so you saw in the paper that, here you have CEOs making millions, 5, 10, 15, 20 million, and the workers are making 20 to 40,000.
Yeah.
And so then, how does that, I don't know how that relates to the restaurant business, but how we can expect somebody to live off $2.13 and rely on tips. I just, I scratch my head.
Yeah.
And that, we tip, we have a certain threshold that if it doesn't make, if our bill doesn't make a certain point, then we're going to tip above and beyond.
Yeah.
Just so that person gets a decent wage from us.
Yeah.
For the time that they spent. I mean, a $4 tip, okay, great, but you spend an hour with us. How does that make any sense? And granted, it's minutes, but it's still what we're taking up. So it's just it's interesting to watch, and that I hope this is the tipping point.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, there's let's say the CEOs of these big companies, and then the workers. Let's say it's a factory, a manufacturer of some sort, and the CEO is making $10 million, and the factory worker is making $40,000. If they're single, $40,000 is a lot. If they're married, $40,000 is not a lot.
Right.
Okay, so I'm sure that I know many of these servers who work just as hard as those factory workers who are not making $40,000 a year. And they have to have a car and have to have a place to live. And so there's not a whole lot of places downtown to park, so they either have to pay a monthly parking fee to get there, or they have to take an Uber or something like that, and these are just pumping up costs on top of them. There's a whole argument about the affordable housing thing, because that's a misnomer. I'm not even going to get started on that, but so they can't live downtown. They can't afford to live where they're serving. And that's not just saying the servers downtown. I mean, servers all over town. But I'm just talking right now about the downtown stuff. And even outside in the suburbs, there's not a whole lot of affordable housing. All these new places going up. And whether they're luxury or not, it's not, quote unquote, affordable, which is subjective anyway. But it's just, my wife is in the apartment industry. She's not an advocate. She doesn't do all that stuff. She's in marketing. But, there's so much money that goes into creating affordable housing that there's no incentive for the companies to make that. They need to recoup their money. No one goes in with altruism. No one goes in there out of the kindness of their heart to do this. Businesses don't, unless you're a nonprofit, businesses don't go into business to just help people. They go into business to make money.
Right.
And regulations on affordable housing are so high, and the permits are so high, it costs them more to make affordable housing than it does just to make cookie cutter apartment places. And, people say, we need more affordable housing. Well, then we need to change the regulation. That's where the problem is. But, just go ahead.
It's culture change. We have to change the culture as a whole around society, around money, which is a huger issue. But to recognize that, how much money do you really need to make to be okay and satisfied? And that, if there's, and I don't know what the right answer is. That's my biggest thing, is I don't know what the right answer is at all, but I know there's got to be a better way. And so, I can totally understand why somebody's going to stay on unemployment and not go back to having to work 3 or 4 jobs to make ends meet.
Yeah.
Who wants that? That's tough. We've got to change some things. And it's a bigger systems issue. So yeah. Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah. um, this has become sort of a running joke on the show, but La Batana is not open today because of electrical work. No word that they had to close any last week. I know they said that they were going to be open all week, and I took them at the word. So as far as I know, they were open all week. And this is the pause for dramatic effect right here. I'm not putting them down. I'm not making fun of them. It's just every week except last week, there's always a day that they're closed because of something.
Yeah. But when you go, it's good.
Oh yeah.
So
no.
good.
Oh, certainly it is. But due to unforeseen circumstances, which means somebody didn't come in, or something. This is electrical problem, and then there's a plumbing problem. We're remodeling. You can just open. I don't get it. Open. In a totally different manner, 1703 will have sporadic schedules for the next month or so. This is because they are doing private events. They're open, just not to the public during these events. They and I encourage you to check out their social media to see when they're closed before you show up and have to be disappointed that you're not part of a party. Just looking out for you. Arigato is reopening today after yet another COVID situation last week. People, get vaccinated. If you're not going to get vaccinated, stay home. I mean, go to work, but don't go out and party with your friends, all hanging all over each other without masks on, and then take it to your work and they have to lose business. This is Arigato's thing as of late, and I'm not picking on them. I'm just saying maybe the problem is Arigato. I mean, you can't control what your employees do off the clock, but you can nudge them to make better decisions, or just go get the damn vaccination.
Well, but the vaccination, you could still get COVID.
You can still get COVID, but you're less susceptible to the symptoms, and you're even spreading it is not as much as it was before that. So, and again, I'm not seeing a whole lot of other places. We had to close because of COVID. We had to close because of COVID. It's always Arigato. It's like they have a COVID factory there or something.
Well,
again, I'm not picking on them. It's just what's going on over there.
They've got a lot of misfortune. We might need to go over there and smudge a little.
Might need to
clear the air, but yeah, that is unfortunate that they have to continue to close around that. And with the restrictions getting lifted, a week ago, it has been crazy to me to go from 50% to 100% in like an hour. Yeah. And that the law-abiding people, I guess it's not, some of it's a law, some of it's not, but the rule-abiding people are going to abide by the rules, and those who aren't, they definitely aren't.
Yeah.
But that's
because they weren't to begin with.
Well, right. Yeah. But people don't recognize it. It can be, and has been, life or death. I mean, like, there's no joke about this.
Right.
That people need to realize. You got to watch out for yourself and your fellow man during these times.
That's right. Stop being selfish, y'all.
Yep.
3 Layers Cakery is closed until Thursday because Chef Pam took a much-needed vacation. So on Thursday, you'll be able to order more delicious cakes and desserts. Mojito Latin Soul Food is your go-to Cuban and Latin-inspired restaurant. The good folk over there are open. Their dining room is open. Their patio is open. Their Cuban sandwich, I think, is one of the best sandwiches in town. It's the best sandwich in town, I think. All the flavors punching the tongue. The sandwich is made in the tradition that Michael grew up with. They do reservations. They do takeout. They have a rather large outdoor patio, as I said. and do deliveries to the surrounding businesses like Fiddle and Fish, Broad Branch, and Wise Man. Leah, I know you're a huge fan of mojito.
I mean, that pork belly. My mouth is watering right now. I was thinking about that pork belly.
So when's the last time you were there?
Oof. So we more so would go to Fiddle and Fish and order and
Sure.
bring it over.
Okay. That's still
I'm trying
helping.
to think. Yeah, it's been about a month, but before that, it was probably every like 4 or 5 days we were eating it. So that you kind of was like, okay, how many times in a month can I have pork belly? And I gotta slow down a little bit. So there were about 4 weeks there though that it was like every 4 days.
Yeah.
I was making sure I got more pork belly. So good stuff. I have to go this week just because you brought that up. Dang it.
You're welcome. Butcher and Bull is hosting an open interview session on Thursday, June the 3rd from noon to 4. If you're not familiar with Butcher and Bull, it's a casual dining restaurant that features a lot of meat, like Butcher and Bull, and is located in the Marriott downtown. They are preparing to open. The April thing didn't work out for them, I don't think. So now they're looking at June. And, I have experience with them in the past, not obviously right now. In the past, it was really good. So I think I have no reason to think that it won't still be really good when they open. But they are holding basically their own little job fair on Thursday, June the 3rd, noon to 4. Cobblestone Market's Wednesday market will start back up on June the 2nd. There are tons of options for pre-order, and some of your favorite vendors will be set up on site for you to shop the market midweek. Be sure to sign up for their newsletter to find out what you'll be able to pick up on the Wednesdays. You can do that on their Facebook page. I believe there's a link that you can sign up for that newsletter. So we know that Liberty Arts Cafe closed after Mike Coe passed away. Chris Eastwood from Salem Organic Supply has purchased the spot and is renaming it. It's like Toast or Toasted or something like that. And I think that's probably a double entendre since Salem Organic Supply is a hemp CBD store. There are a couple of marijuana bills sitting in the North Carolina General Assembly right now. So if one of those get passed, he is ready to flip to the THC stuff. But back to Toast or Toasted, whatever it's called, I think there will be a soup and sandwich shop. And I think they will still have coffee that's one thing that Liberty Arts Cafe was quite popular for. So I'm hoping that that's the case.
It looked like it was like grilled cheeses. Like, I mean, you could get a grilled cheese sandwich of some variety.
Yeah.
Which who doesn't love some ooey gooey grilled cheese? I mean, you make that right.
Right on. Yeah. Diamondback Grill, casual dining located in the heart of Buena Vista in Winston-Salem. It's a fantastic family-owned farm-to-fork restaurant that sources most of its ingredients from local farmers. Try one of their special themed menus. Menu specials, sorry. Each day is a different theme. We ate there on Friday because it was my mother-in-law's 80th birthday and my brother-in-law was in town. I set us up there because I knew we'd have great service and the food would be phenomenal, and I was absolutely correct. There was a peach caprese salad for Stephanie, basically a caprese salad the way it usually is, but with peaches instead of tomatoes. And
okay.
And she added some grilled chicken on top of that, so that was pretty good. And I had that Sloppy Joe because that Sloppy Joe over there is amazing.
Nice.
I love that sandwich. I love it a lot. Great beverages, great atmosphere, and we all had a great time. I highly recommend Diamondback for your big and small events, a romantic dinner with your honey, or just to go have a drink with your pals. Diamondback Grill is at 751 Avalon Road. Check them out on diamondback.com and on Facebook and Instagram. As with the last entry on the Country Spinner, and I don't know that you know what I'm talking about, Leah, but I took a week off in between. Give you the quick rundown. There's 197 countries in the world, and Stephanie and I like travel, but we can't travel right now. One, not a lot of places are allowing us to travel, and two, we have no money. So what we're doing instead is we are picking countries at random. We have a wheel, like the Wheel of Fortune, that has all the country names on it, and we spin it and come up with a country. Then we find out things about it, the culture, the people, history, and then we make some dishes. So the first one, which was about a month ago, we did Mauritius, which is an island country off of Madagascar and off of the eastern tip of Africa. And we made something that's along the line of shakshuka called oja. It's like that, but it's with lamb sausage in Mauritius, but we couldn't find lamb sausage. So we went with chorizo instead. We figured that would be cool. Yeah. we made cheese fritters. I made the batter myself, and then we made called a rugai, which was one of my favorite things I've ever made. It was oh goodness, I can't even think of what it is. I have all the recipes. I want to make a blog post about them and post some pictures. And then the next country we did was Malawi, which is where we are now. And last week we made this, because this is the name, there's no rabbit in it, but it's called bunny chow. And it included making my own bread bowls, and it was basically a chicken curry with a tomato and onion salad on top of it. Kind of a dressed salad on top of it. Really, really good. I'll send you a picture of that too.
So other than not being able to find the lamb sausage, you're pretty much able to find all the other ingredients? Like they're common American ingredients?
Some, and the whole thing is this is not going letter by letter verbatim for the recipe. These are basically inspired recipes that I look at and I'm like, what would I change here? I'd change this to here and change this. So because exactly we're not going to find all these things here. So yeah, like in Malawi, one of their most popular dishes ever is, I don't remember the name of it, but it's a fish that's only found in Lake Malawi. And I'm not going to find that fish here. So I need to find what's comparable and find one of those here. And then there's a thing called nshima, Nshima, that is kind of between cornmeal and grits. It's kind of in the middle of that. And we don't have that here. I even looked on Amazon to see if I could find something there. It wasn't there. So I'm going to just have to find a comparable something. Yeah. So that's what we're doing with the Country Spinner. We're still in the middle of Malawi. There are some things that I'm trying to put together to make for next weekend. We'll see. Well, next weekend's Memorial Day, so that may happen. It may wait the next week. So, but we are still on the burger tour, and now we are up to 97 as I added one this morning. But I only had one official burger this past week. And that was from Zoe's Family Restaurant on Trend West. They have another one on Old Walkertown Road that I have to get over there too. But I knocked the one on Trend West off the to-do list this week. And as I've said, I'm not divulging any information about how I liked them, what I thought about them, if I enjoyed them, whatever, until the rating comes out later this year. But I am still looking for recommendations. The one I added this morning is a place called Foothills Grill and Tap. It has nothing to do with Foothills Brewing. It's in Keene. So, yeah. So whether we get to it or not, I don't know. Again, 97 burgers is a lot of places to go. So,
what's the, like, do you have a number that you'll be like, oh, when I like at what point do the burgers just start tasting the same, or do they not? And then what it like at 150 are you gonna be like, okay, like,
Well, every one, I have a spreadsheet. Every one
Okay.
is rated according to criteria. Like
Okay.
like my overall happiness. that's a big one, because
Smell.
even if it comes out, one comes out with really high ratings, and I'm looking at this other burger that may not have even rated as high, but I really love eating that burger, then that counts, and I'm going to pick the one that I really love eating over the other. Because some guy, the last time I did this list in 2019, said this is kind of biased. I said it's very biased. It's my list. It's my rating. It's how I like these burgers, not anything to do with. It wasn't one of those popularity contest things that a couple of the entertainment rags around here do. It's none of that. This was my list. So this is my list. So each one is rated with a scale of criteria, and they go until Thanksgiving weekend, the Sunday. It will be the last possible time to be on this list. And then sometime in December, maybe right before Christmas, I will have narrowed it down and did my top 10, 15, 20, whatever I feel like doing. And there'll probably be some caveats, because I did include the mojito burger, but it's not really a burger in the sense of all the other ones. So how can it stand up to the rest of them? Because there are a couple that are specialty things, and I just don't think it's fair for the specialty burgers to stand up against a regular, just like a diner or pub burger. So there's a lot of caveats there. So there'll probably be categories, but there will be an overall top 10 at least list.
Is there like a International Society of Burger Eaters?
There
Not booger, but burger.
Yeah, there is a thing called the Burger and Cheese Society, I think.
Do they have like a rating scale? Is there like an International Burger rating scale? Like,
no, not that I know of. So this is Steven, Street Team Steven, and I formulated the rating system, the things that we thought were important, and then weighted each one. He did all the formulaic stuff, but I told him how much I wanted things to stand for. So
to wait, yeah. Okay.
So that's where we are.
You going to, when you release the burger list, are you going to release your criteria?
Probably not, because some of them probably aren't very nice.
Oh.
I've told the criteria.
Scale, actually, the scale.
Yeah. Hold on, I can even tell you that right now, because
okay.
When we announced it, that's what we were talking about. So.
Okay. Is smell one of them?
It is, actually.
Okay.
So smell or aroma is 5% of the thing. Order correctness is 5%. Presentation, how it looks to us, is 10%. Quality of ingredients is 20%. Flavor is 25%. And then overall happiness is 35%. All that comes out to 100%. So that's how the rating works.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell you which one it is, but I'll give you an example.
Are you doing any research or a literature review on burgers and meat and how it's cooked and made and anything? Like, are you researching?
I'm not doing a lot of
burger?
researching, because most people aren't going to research when they go either. And it's basically just a place for them to go. So I'll give you one. Let me find the one that's the highest. I believe it's this one.
since I'm writing papers, I'm like, where's your literature review? I need a logic model.
Yeah,
and
a bibliography.
And it needs to be 50 pages.
Yeah.
Thanks for playing.
In APA.
I need your Likert scale, and
yeah.
This sounds like it's qualitative and quantitative, so that's mixed methods. So if you can give me your philosophical worldview that relates to mixed methods, that should be 2 pages.
Well, I have no opinion on said subject. So here's the highest we have so far. I believe it's now I'll tell you it's a 90, and there's a couple of 89s and stuff like that. But overall happiness, there's no perfect 10s because it has to really knock my socks off to be a 10, right? Because that's kind of unrealistic. So overall, it's got a 9. Flavor, it has a 9. Quality of ingredients, it has a 9. Presentation, it has an 8. Smell, it has a 9. And for order correctness, it has a 10. If they got it right, I mean, why not give them the full 10 on that, right? It's a lower part of it anyway. And most of the ones that I have one that I didn't even take a picture of, right? That only has an 18 total score.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And you actually ate that one? Or
I ate it.
Of it?
Yeah, I ate it. It had a 2 overall happiness, a 2 flavor,
Ooh.
2 quality of ingredient, 1 for presentation, 1 for smell, and 1 for order correctness. I will say this is the saddest burger I've had on this tour.
Bad.
First, they wanted to put, they wanted to put something on there that doesn't belong on there. And then whenever I told them I didn't want it that way, it still came that way. And huge bun, small patty. And it was
I
just,
hate that.
and I'm just, no, it was just sad.
Yeah.
That is the lowest. And then I have 2 that I had on the same exact day that are the next 2 lowest. They're not quite 18s. One's a 27, one's a 26.
Man.
But so it's not like I'm just going out there throwing good ratings around. I'm trying to be objective about it.
Yeah.
So, but I have had now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 since the 22nd of March.
Okay. So almost 1 a day.
Yeah.
1 every 2 days.
Yeah.
A day and a half.
Yeah, the original thing I said was I was only going to do 3 a week maximum. But that after you end up with 90 some on the list, you gotta.
Yeah,
and some I want to do just because I like it, so I might go back to a place.
Yeah.
So I don't count those. I only count the 1. There was a couple of places, I'll go ahead and tell you, that Papa Lee's and Mr. Barbecue, I kept trying because I was giving them time because they had both either opened or reopened, and I wanted them to get their legs under them and get their stuff right, and they did. So they were worthy of a rating, and I gave them a rating finally. But cool. they got several chances. That's what I would call an unofficial burger.
Yeah.
So.
Huh. Interesting.
Anything on your side of the list we need to know about?
No. I mean, to your point, people are looking for workers, and there's lots of shifting in hours.
Yeah.
And, we just keep on keeping on, I guess. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Keep on eating. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
So.
Keep on supporting the restaurants and the servers.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I can say that I went over to Greek Fest.
Yeah.
Last weekend, and let me just tell you, when you get the baklava box and it's sticky on the outside, that stuff's gonna be good. I mean, they handed us the box and it was sticky on that side. I was like, that shit's gonna be good, and it was. And I was sad that I only got one box, because that was some good baklava. So good. But yeah, we keep picking our little spots we go out to.
Yeah.
Now that the world has just reopened, we're kind of on a. The anxiety's got a little. Like, how do we balance this all out? So we're tiptoeing back out.
I've been eating a lot of places.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but it is scary. But I try not to think about it. I've done all I can do. I wear my mask whenever I'm going into places, so I'm not spreading it. I sit down, I take it off. I am vaccinated. I'm not getting up in people's faces that I know of. So I'm doing all I can, but life got to go on. Got to move on. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hear my girl in the background. So the food holidays are sponsored by Carrabba's Italian Grill, located 587 South Stratford Road. This is no chain. This is a responsible family of restaurants. Carrabba's and their owner partners take the communities they serve very seriously. And for us, having a fantastic franchisee like Daniel certainly does not suck. And they have family meals. You can feed a family of 5 right at home by ordering either takeout or delivery from Carrabba's. The family bundles can feed up to 5 people, family-sized portions of some of your favorite entrees. Short list, but you can choose from spaghetti, lasagna, penne carabba, salmon saporito, chicken parmesan or chicken marsala, and more. All family-style meals include a side salad and bread. You can check out more and order at carrabbas.com. So today is the 24th of May. It's National Escargot Day. Are you a fan of escargot? No. I love escargot. I have to be careful with it, though. It will mess up my belly. So, yeah. So it may be a quick exit for me after eating them. But
escargot?
Yeah, I'm escargot at that part. On the 24th in 1830, the nursery rhyme Mary Had a Little Lamb by Sarah Josepha Hale was first published. In 1883, the Brooklyn Bridge between Brooklyn and Manhattan was opened. It took 14 years to build for $18 million and was the longest suspension bridge in the world at the time. In exactly 10 years later, today, the Anti-Saloon League was founded by Howard H. Russell at Oberlin, Ohio. He was an idiot. On that same day, in Newfoundland, Canada, they banned fishermen from killing seals on Sundays. Monday through Saturday's okay, not on Sundays.
Because that's a day of rest?
That's the day the seals go to church, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
1911 on the 24th, the New York Public Library opened to the public. 20 years later, on the 24th of 1931, the B&O, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, passenger train, the Columbian, between Jersey City, New Jersey and Washington, D.C., began service as the first fully air-conditioned passenger train. In 2020, this coronavirus update for this date, Memorial Day weekend traveled down dramatically so far. With restaurants closed, rats are searching for food other than at restaurant dumpsters and may even exhibit aggressive behavior. So, scary, those rats.
They had to be mad.
Yeah. Where's my food? We had an agreement.
I had a good life in the city. Now I gotta go visit my cousin in the country. Those poor rats. I wonder if there's less of a population of rats now.
I don't know.
And then What are exterminators going to do? Might put them out of work. This could just go down a rat hole in a handbasket.
Yeah, it could. And see the rats out panhandling to other rodents. Hey, sir, can I ask you a question?
It's like that ultimate book of Who Moved My Cheese?
Yes.
Who moved my restaurant? Well, the restaurant's still there, but
there's nothing coming out of it. On the 25th, it's National Wine Day.
Oh, I know a bunch of people who are going to appreciate that.
Yep, too bad. It's a fasting day for my wife.
Man.
Yep, Tuesdays.
Well, maybe she can celebrate on Wednesday through
she'll make
Sunday.
up for it on Wednesday. It's also National Brown Baguette Day. Pack your own lunch. On the 25th.
Okay.
In 1882, the first frozen mutton from New Zealand arrived in Britain. In 1935, on the 25th, Babe Ruth hit the final home run of his career, number 714, at Forbes Field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
So go back to the frozen mutton. It went from New Zealand to Britain,
Yeah.
and it was still frozen?
Yeah, in 1882.
What year was that?
1882. I don't know.
I question the level of frozenness.
I do too, actually. I really do. On the 25th, in 1986, 6 million Americans participated in Hands Across America, holding hands and singing across 4,150 miles of road in support of the hungry and the homeless. In 2007, Coca-Cola created a 3,000-gallon, 15-foot-high ice cream float with vanilla Coke and ice cream and set a new world record for the largest ice cream float. The float was certified as drinkable by health inspectors, but it was disposed of by a garbage company. Coke also held the previous record from 1998, a 2,085-gallon float. Now again, my question is, how? What did they have to put this in? Did they just put it in a silo? Was it just individual scoops of ice cream? It's like when they the world's largest burrito and stuff. I mean, how is that possible? Because there's no way you're going to fill a flour tortilla that large.
Right.
I really need to YouTube or something how these things happen to see what they look like, because I think and even pizza, there's no pizza oven that big.
Right.
That's like a 4-block pizza. It has to be just put together. I don't understand. So I need to do some research on that. I've said that every week.
And by the time you get to the end of one block and sticking them all together, then it's cold on the other end. So does that really count? I mean,
I don't know.
And the float, I can't conceptualize the size of that. Is that the size of a pool? I
don't know. It's 3,000 gallons, 15 foot high.
So a basketball hoop is 10 feet high.
Yeah.
So 5 feet past that.
Yes.
So a second story, up to a second story. Oh, so I just can't.
Yeah.
I need that image as well.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know how they do that. On the 26th, it is National Blueberry Cheesecake Day.
Oh.
But Cherry says, here, hold my beer. It's also National Cherry Dessert Day. So all the berries and stuff that you can get, stone fruit and all. On the 26th in 1647, Alsa Young of Windsor becomes the first person on record to be executed for witchcraft in the American colonies when she is hanged in Hartford, Connecticut.
My.
Yeah. Witchcraft. Such a bad thing. In 1927, on the 26th, the last Model T Ford rolled off the assembly line. 15 million Model Ts were produced from 1908 to 1927. They're known as Tin Lizzie. That's what they're nicknamed, Model Ts. There's a couple of Model Ts here in Winston. And as I've said when Roar opens downtown, they've got a long way to go. But when they finally do open, you know, that's it used to be where the Model Ts were sold here in Winston. There are a couple of people who have them, and they're going to do an event upon the opening of Roar, where the Model Ts actually show up to the place that probably they were purchased from. In 1998, the Supreme Court rules that Ellis Island, a historic gateway for millions of immigrants, is mainly in New Jersey, not New York, as once thought. In 2020, legislation in San Francisco banning discrimination based on height or weight became effective, as it should have. In 2010, in Greece, a horde of millions of frogs forced a 2-hour closure of a major highway east of Thessaloniki. In 2020, despite increased precautions, meat industry workers are still getting sick from coronavirus. The New York Stock Exchange reopens its trading floor with 25% of normal trading numbers, and all must wear face masks. But it's hard to trade with all those hand motions and people reading lips and stuff when you have a mask on.
Yeah.
On the 27th of May, and this is very specific, it's National Grape Popsicle Day.
Okay. I can get behind that.
Yeah, I like grape popsicles.
Mm-hmm.
The first, in 1755, the first municipal water pumping plant in America was installed at Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Water was supplied from a 70-foot high tank that was filled with water pumped through a spring through wooden pipes.
Oh.
In 1901-27, Chapman J. Root founded the Root Glass Works in Terre Haute, Indiana, to manufacture glass bottles that would withstand high internal pressures. In 1916, the company would win the design competition for what would become the iconic 6.5-ounce Coca-Cola bottle.
Very cool.
In 1919, the patent for Pyrex glass, which is sodium borosilicate glass, borosilicate, I guess, was issued. The patent was assigned to Corning Glass Works by the inventors, Corning research chemists Eugene C. Sullivan and William C. Taylor. We use a lot of Pyrex in this house.
Well, and doesn't Odin Brewing, the building that they're in, I thought they made glass, or maybe they just made stuff that went inside. But they were like a glass.
Where is this?
They're in Greensboro, but the building that they're in, there's some significance with glass or something. I'm looking it up to see, or if I'm just thinking out.
Well, while you're looking that up, in the 1930 on the 27th, Richard G. Drew of St. Paul, Minnesota, patented removable masking tape. He then worked out a deal with 3M to market it under the Scotch brand.
Oh, see, they were a soft drink bottling plant in the 30s and 40s.
Okay.
Buffalo Rock bottling plant.
I've never heard of them.
In Greensboro. They got some good beer too.
All right. I need to go check them out.
Yeah.
In 1933, on the 27th, the first automatic soda fountain dispenser is introduced by Coca-Cola. In 1936, the Queen Mary, Cunard Line's new 1,000-foot, 81,000-ton passenger ship, set sail on her maiden voyage from Southampton to New York City. In 1967, the Queen Mary was purchased by the city of Long Beach, California, where it arrived on December of that year to begin its new role as a museum, a hotel, and a conference center. And I know there's a QE2. I don't know if there's a QM2 or not. So the Queen Elizabeth, number 2, because there was a Queen Elizabeth boat about the same time of this. So. In 1937, the Golden Gate Bridge was officially opened to public with a week-long Fiesta Week celebration beginning on the 27th with an exclusive pedestrian day, so only people could walk across it that couldn't drive yet. On the 27th in 2020, the iconic New York nightclub Copacabana permanently closed after 80 years. Now, it may reopen later this year or next year in a different location, but it will not be where it was. And TGI Fridays permanently would close up to 20% of its 386 U.S. locations. On the 28th, good for me right now, it's National Hamburger Day. It's also National Brisket Day.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
There are plenty of barbecue places in town that you can get that.
Mm-hmm.
In 1845, on the 28th, fire destroys more than a third of the city of Quebec, Canada. 1,500 homes were destroyed. In 1892, the Sierra Club is formed in San Francisco for nature conservation. On the 28th, in 1897, Jell-O was introduced in strawberry, raspberry, orange, and lemon fruit flavors.
Oh.
In 1937, the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco officially opened to vehicle traffic on the second day of a week-long opening celebration.
When was it invented to put fruit in Jell-O? Do we have you have that marked somewhere?
I don't know, like those Jell-O mold things that stuff was in there. Well, where was it? Was it on The Office that they took a white stapler, I think it was, and encased it in Jell-O?
Jell-O? Oh, I don't know.
I think so. In 1999, after 22 years of controversial restoration, Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece, The Last Supper, is returned to public display.
Hmm?
In 2020, on the 28th, Winona County Fair in Minnesota was canceled. Krispy Kreme gave one free donut to all customers from June the 1st to June the 5th. On the 29th, it's National Coq au Vin Day. So, you like your rooster and wine, and that's what you get. It's also National or World Biscuit Day. Yeah.
Oh.
In 1886, Coca-Cola, which was invented by pharmacist John Pemberton in 1885, was advertised for the first time in the Atlanta Daily. I guess that's Daily News. In 1919, Charles Strite of Stillwater, Minnesota, applied for a pop-up toaster patent. On the 29th, in 1942, Bing Crosby recorded Irving Berlin's White Christmas for Decca Records. In 1953, on the 29th, at 11:30 a.m., Sir Edmund Hillary in Tenzing Norgay became the first to reach the summit of Mount Everest. In 1961, on the 29th, of course this was, Mr. and Mrs. Alderson Muncie of Paynesville, West Virginia, were the first food stamp recipients on May 29th, 1961. They purchased $95 in food stamps for their 15-person household. Yeah, wow. In 2004, tens of millions of pounds of almonds were recalled by one of the world's largest almond producers, located in California, due to a salmonella outbreak. At least 25 people were sickened in states from Alaska to Michigan. On the 29th in 2020, the Wisconsin State Fair was canceled. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signs an order that New York businesses can deny service to anyone refusing to wear a face mask. New York City Council backed the restaurant industry, pushes plan to open some streets, sidewalks, and public plazas to outdoor dining. And Cheyenne Frontier Days, the world's largest outdoor rodeo in Wyoming, was canceled for the first time in 124 years. It's a lot of time for that rodeo.
Mm-hmm.
On the 30th, it's National Mint Julep Day. Yeah,
Oh.
alcohol. 1539 on the 30th, Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto landed in Florida. In 1783, the first daily American newspaper was published in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Evening Post. In 1821, James Boyd of Boston received a patent for a fire engine hose made of cotton web lined with rubber. I believe that's still the way it is. In 1856, the first milk quality law in the U.S. prohibiting adulteration of milk was signed by the governor of Massachusetts. In 1879, William K. Vanderbilt acquired Gilmore's Garden in New York City and renamed it Madison Square Garden. As I say, I don't usually do a lot of births or deaths, but on the 30th in 1908, Mel Blanc was born. He was a voice actor for Warner Brothers and other cartoon characters. Some of the characters he voiced include Bugs Bunny, Tweety Bird, Porky Pig, Daffy Duck, Sylvester the Cat, and much more. Foghorn Leghorn, Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam, all those. Him. In 2003, the Concorde supersonic airliner made its final scheduled flight from Paris to New York as Air France took the Concordes out of service. On the next day, the 31st, Concorde made its last return trip to France. On the 30th in 2020, Boston Marathon was canceled. Food prices continue to rise. Chicago to close some streets for outdoor dining options. That's your food, holidays, and history for this week. Special thanks to James Ehler at foodreference.com for making us chuckle, roll our eyes, wonder how in the wide world of sports we had a 15-foot high Coca-Cola float, and me getting excited about Escargot Day and because it's alcohol, mint julep, and wine day. Yeah.
There's always a reason to drink.
Oh, yeah. Especially now. The Man Who Waits to Town podcast is part of the Less Desirables Podcast Network. Along with this podcast, you can listen to the Less Desirables, The Beer Dads, Fan Interference, Beeswax, Vinyl More, Wheeler's Dog, and Asylum, Tales from the Devereux Diaries podcast. You can find all these podcasts and their latest episode on our network directory and website, tldpodnetwork.com, or as the aforementioned Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, and so on, wherever you find your podcasts. This is a reminder to all the listeners, and it's good practice, not just now, but for always. Wash your damn hands. Wash with warm water and soap. Wash with that soap for 20 seconds or more. And if you don't know how long that is, sing along with this.
Everybody's looking for something to fill in the holes. We think a lot, but don't talk much about it till things get out of control. Oh, how do I know when it's love? I can't tell you, but it lasts forever. Oh, how does it feel when it's love? It's just something.
I know it's sacrilege to a lot of Van Halen fans, but two of my three favorite Van Halen albums are the Sammy Hagar albums, or two of them, 5150 and this one, OU812, which came out on this date in 1988. So that's, 33 years. So and what?
Takes me back to riding the school bus to school, listening to this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we listened to it a lot in the car. I was of the next to the last generation here in North Carolina, anyway, that juniors and seniors could leave campus to go to lunch
Ooh.
Yeah, so, and I had study hall with a teacher that I was teacher's pet with, so there were 3 lunches, right? The first lunch, second lunch, third lunch for waves for whatever hall you were on in the school, so it wasn't everybody at once. And so because that was my study hall, I would go to lunch with one person first, come back just in time to go to lunch with 3 or 4 other people the next time, come back, and then go to lunch with these 2 girls that I was really good friends with. So we would just, we would listen to this album at that time. So, yeah.
Cool.
Love that album. The whole thing. I love it all the way through. Back to where I was. Keep an eye on my blog and this podcast to find out more about the food news and happenings around town. If you have any food news, send an email to Tim or Leah or Ray at The Man Who Ate the Town. You can also contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter instant messengers. Like us on Facebook. On Twitter, we are Man Who ate the Town. On Instagram, we are Man Who Ate the Town. And you can call and leave a voicemail for the podcast by calling 336-422-6862. That's right, 336-422-NUM. Yes. Leave us a voicemail and we will play it on the podcast. 336-422-NUM 6862. Well, Leah, we have missed you here. I know you got a lot of school stuff going on, and wish you could be with us more, but I understand it's busy and you got stuff to do. Maybe eventually you'll get to a spot where you can come back with us more.
Yeah, we'll figure out when that spot is, and knee deep in the paper. So
no, I get it. So if nothing else, we'll get together for a beer or something.
Yeah, or a burger.
Or a burger. Yes. Yes. Well, my name is Tim.
And I'm Leah.
And we're closing the recipe box. Until next time, thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. Bon appetit. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. Yamas! The views and opinions stated by me or any of my guests are solely those of ours and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosting companies, distributors, enemies, friends, or relatives. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced or distributed without express written consent of the Man Who Ate the Town, that's me, and Such Limited Inc. However, if you ask nicely, we'll probably let you.